It was a calm morning across Earth, the sky painted with soft light and clouds drifting lazily above the cities. People moved through their normal lives, unaware that this day would change human history forever. Children laughed on their way to school. Old men sipped tea near quiet windows, and traffic rolled like waves through the streets. Nothing felt unusual, not until the first signal died. In the control room of an international space network, a young technician frowned at his monitor. The satellite feed had gone black. One after another, he thought it was a glitch, maybe a solar storm, but when he tried to reconnect, every system showed the same message: signal lost. Within minutes, all communication lines around the world began to flicker and fail. The internet collapsed, phones went dead, and even military radars turned to static. In space, something huge was moving. The scientists in observatories from Chile to Japan stared at their telescopes in silence. Millions of objects were entering Earth's orbit. Not meteors, not debris, ships, enormous ships. Governments called emergency meetings. The United Nations went offline. No one could explain what was coming, and no one could stop it. The first to see them clearly were people in Australia. Shadows passing across the sun. Moments later, the shadows multiplied, spreading across the world like a storm of dark wings. The invasion had begun, though no one dared to say the word yet. At first, it looked like fireworks, beautiful lights bursting in the sky. But then the sound came, a deep rumble that shook glass and bone. The alien ships opened fire, raining energy beams down upon the cities. New York, London, Tokyo, each was hit within minutes. Skyscrapers melted into dust, oceans boiled where the beams struck, and the air filled with smoke and screams. People ran in every direction, some praying, some frozen in disbelief. Air defenses tried to fire back, but their missiles never reached the enemy. They burned before they left the atmosphere. It felt like the end of everything, yet far below the Earth's surface. In places unknown to the public, something ancient began to wake. In a hidden base buried under the Rockies, red lights flickered on for the first time in decades. Computer screens glowed, displaying a single phrase: Project Dawnfire active. A soft, mechanical voice echoed through the empty halls. Protocol 7 initiated. General Alyssa Grant, retired years ago, sat in a cabin miles away when her old communicator buzzed. She hadn't heard that sound in 20 years. Her hands trembled as she answered. General Grant, this is Command Echo. Project Dawnfire is live. We need you back. She didn't ask why, she already knew. The sky above her cabin was filled with strange lights. Green, red, blue, each one pulsing with alien energy. She stepped outside, her eyes reflecting the chaos above. After all these years, she whispered. They finally came! Her jeep roared to life as she sped toward the hidden valley where humanity's secret defense slept. Across the ocean, in a massive desert hangar, a figure stood alone before a steel gate marked with the symbol of the Helios fleet. The man was thought dead, Admiral Reyes. He had vanished after the lunar defense program collapsed. But now the scanners recognized his DNA, and the doors opened with a thunderous hiss. Behind them rested ships that no one on Earth knew existed. Reyes looked up at the massive hulls glowing in the dim light. Time to wake up, he said quietly. Around him, engines hummed like ancient beasts returning from sleep. The hangar shook as power surged through the floor. In the distance, explosions painted the horizon. Meanwhile, the aliens celebrated their easy victory. They saw Earth as weak, primitive, broken by its own wars. They mocked the humans on open channels, their strange voices echoing across intercepted frequencies. But deep underground, humanity listened and smiled in secret chambers. Scientists activated systems that had not seen daylight for 50 years. Energy coils spun faster. Reactors hummed with rising power. The Earth's crust trembled as hidden silos opened beneath mountains and seas. The invaders had no idea what kind of planet they were attacking. General Grant arrived at the Dawnfire Control Center. Her boots echoed through the steel hallways as soldiers saluted. Status, she demanded. 30 seconds to full activation. Ma'am, replied an officer, his voice shaking. Grant looked at the holographic map of Earth. Most major cities were burning red. Hold steady, she said. They think we're finished." A moment later, she pressed her palm to the control pad. The world shook. Hundreds of hidden stations powered on, from Antarctica to the Sahara, from the ocean depths to lunar craters. A message flashed on every old satellite still in orbit. Dawnfire online. Above the planet, alien captains saw strange pulses on their scanners. They thought it was interference, but those signals were locks, target locks. In the middle of chaos, hope was born again. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity spoke with one voice, from a secret channel. A voice echoed across all surviving frequencies. "This is Earth Command," it said, calm and steady. "Phase 1 complete. Prepare for retaliation." The invaders didn't understand the message. But they would soon, very soon. The world had changed in only a few hours. From peaceful skies to endless fire, millions of alien ships now floated above the planet like black clouds blocking the sun. Each one carried weapons strong enough to burn a continent. They believed Earth was already theirs. They were wrong in New York. Flames danced where skyscrapers once stood. The ground cracked, smoke filled the air, and sirens screamed endlessly. Yet even inside that nightmare, humans refused to surrender. Firefighters rescued strangers, soldiers helped children, and old men carried the wounded through broken streets. No one knew if help would come, but still they fought. That was humanity's way. Never surrender, never stop, high above the clouds. The alien commander watched through cold, golden eyes. He saw Earth's cities collapse and smiled. "These creatures are weak," he said to his soldiers. "Erase what remains. Leave nothing alive." Thousands of warships descended lower, preparing the final strike, but deep underground. In the secret Dawnfire base, alarms blared again. General Grant stood before a giant screen showing every burning city. Her heart was heavy, but her voice stayed steady. "Activate Stage 2, she said. The technicians hesitated. No one had ever tested Stage 2 before. "Do it," Grant ordered. "Or we won't have a planet left to save." Massive generators roared to life beneath the Earth's crust. Hidden reactors powered by deep core energy began to awaken across the oceans. Strange metallic towers rose through the waves, ancient defense pillars built during the lost Cold War. The towers locked onto the alien ships with eerie precision. For the first time, the enemy hesitated. Their scanners couldn't understand what these towers were. Then the ocean itself began to glow. A deep red light spread beneath the waves like molten veins. The first alien battleship fired on it, confident it could destroy anything. The energy beam hit the water and vanished. Moments later, the battleship exploded. No one understood why, not even the aliens in orbit. Admiral Reyes watched from the Helios command. His face was calm, his eyes filled with quiet fury. "All systems are green," reported the AI assistant. "Earth defense satellites online. Target all hostile fleets within low orbit," Reyes said. He raised his hand slowly. Fire. The night side of Earth turned bright as day. Hundreds of light beams cut through the sky. Alien ships disintegrated in midair, vanishing into silver dust. In 1 second, thousands were gone. In 10 seconds, tens of thousands. Every strike was precise. Every beam came from Earth's own hidden weapons. For years, humanity had prepared in silence. Now the silence spoke back. The alien commander screamed orders. He could not believe what he was seeing. "Where did they get this power?" he shouted. "Destroy their defenses!" But no weapon they fired seemed to reach the ground anymore. Invisible shields wrapped around the key regions of Earth. Energy fields projected by Dawnfire's core reactors. Their attacks turned into harmless light before touching the surface. Down on Earth, people looked up in shock. They saw the sky filled with red fire and blue lightning, but this time it was not alien fire. It was human fire. Hope returned like a heartbeat, spreading through every survivor. In the ruins of Paris, a soldier whispered, "We're fighting back." Across continents, those words became a roar. Meanwhile, General Grant received a new signal from the moon. "Lunar base echo reporting," said the voice through static. "We have movement under the surface." Grant frowned. "Explain." Then the feed cleared, showing a massive shape awakening beneath the moon's crust. It was not alien. It was human. The Helios fleet's sister project, Aegis. Its reactors hummed like thunder. Preparing to launch, Reyes smiled when he saw the signal appear on his screen. They thought they were gods, he muttered. Let's show them what humans build when we're afraid. Moments later, the lunar cannons fired. The blast wave crossed space faster than light could blink. Thousands of alien ships simply ceased to exist, turned into glowing dust for the first time. The alien command fleet sent a distress signal. They had never done that before back on Earth. Civilians in bunkers watched the live feed through emergency networks. They saw alien ships falling like meteors, burning in the upper atmosphere. Children clapped, soldiers wept, and scientists whispered prayers. The world that had been dying was now burning with a new kind of light, human defiance. The world that had been dying was now burning with a new kind of light, human defiance. But the fight was far from over. The alien armada still outnumbered Earth's defenses 100-1. They began regrouping, forming a massive formation above the Atlantic Ocean. From space, it looked like a dark storm covering the sea. Inside that storm, energy built up. The aliens were preparing a final planetary strike. General Grant's eyes widened as the readings spiked. "They're going to wipe the whole surface," said one officer. "Like burning a forest." Grant turned to Reyes through the secure link. "Admiral, if they fire that, nothing will survive." Reyes nodded slowly. "Then we strike first," he said, "before their storm reaches full charge." He opened a hidden command key. "Prepare the arc line," he ordered. The officers gasped. The arc line was humanity's final weapon, a system so powerful it could break space itself. Grant whispered, "Reyes." That weapon was never tested. Neither was survival, he replied. Outside, the stars began to bend as the arc line powered up. It pulled energy from the Earth's magnetic field. From the moon, even from the sun, every cloud above the planet glowed white. The alien fleet did not realize that every second they waited was their last. On every frequency, one message played. "This is Earth Command," said Admiral Reyes. "You invaded our home. Now you'll learn what that means." His voice was calm, unshaken. Then he gave the final order. "Fire the arc!" The screen turned to light. For one heartbeat, the world went silent. And then, the sky exploded. The sky was no longer blue. It was a battlefield of fire and lightning. Alien ships burned like falling stars, leaving trails of silver smoke across the heavens. But even as thousands were destroyed, millions more were coming. They filled the night like a living storm, endless and merciless, and still humanity refused to fall. Admiral Reyes stood in the heart of the Helios command ship, the largest vessel ever built by human hands. The bridge glowed red with warning lights, and every surface hummed with power. The arc line had fired, and half the enemy armada was gone. But Reyes knew that was only the beginning. The real war had just started, down below in the Dawnfire base. General Grant stared at the screens filled with static and radiation bursts. Her hands were steady, though her mind raced. She had seen destruction before, but never like this. Earth had become both a shield and a sword, and yet she felt something rising from beneath the noise, a new energy, a deeper pulse. "The planet is changing," whispered one scientist, his voice trembling. "It's responding to the arc energy." Grant frowned. "Responding how?" The man turned the monitor, and she saw it. Earth's magnetic field expanding, pulsing like a heartbeat, almost alive in orbit. The alien flagship adjusted its formation. The enemy commander, High Lord Karen, slammed his clawed hand onto the console. "They should have been ash," he hissed. "How do they still fight?" His lieutenant bowed. "Their world." "It fights with them, my lord." Karen glared at the glowing planet below, its oceans now shining with strange light. "Then we burn their world itself," he growled, "until nothing remains." But the humans had a secret even deeper than Dawnfire, one that no alien could ever imagine. Long ago, when the first Mars missions failed, a shadow program had begun, Project Genesis. Its goal was not to explore space, but to merge human consciousness with Earth's own energy field. It was shut down decades ago, lost in rumor and denial, until now. Reyes received a coded message from the old archives. It was a voice faint and broken. Genesis core located Sierra Quadrant. Active under geothermal fault 9, he froze. The Genesis core. A myth among soldiers. But if it existed, it could turn the tide. "Grant," he called through the comms. "I need your best team near fault 9 now." Grant didn't ask questions. She already understood. "Sending them," she replied. "But Reyes, if the core wakes, we don't know what it'll do." Reyes smiled faintly. "That's the point. Beneath the earth, far below human cities, a small strike team descended through ancient tunnels. Lights flickered as dust rained from the shaking ceiling. The leader, Captain Hayes, carried a beacon forged from alien metal, the only thing strong enough to handle the core's energy. "Stay sharp," he said quietly. "This isn't just tech. This is history." When they reached the final gate, they found carvings on the wall, and not alien, but human. Symbols of the old world, older than any known civilization. "What is this place?" whispered one soldier. Hayes touched the stone. "The first defense," he said, "built before we even knew why we'd need it." The gate opened with a deep metallic groan. Inside, the chamber was enormous, a cathedral of light and crystal. At its center floated a glowing sphere, pulsing in rhythm with the Earth's heartbeat. That was the Genesis core. It hummed like a living being, as if aware of their presence. "Commander, we found it," Hayes said into his comm, "and it's awake, above the planet." The aliens prepared their final attack. Every ship charged its main cannon. Energy gathering like the birth of a new sun. Karen raised his hand. "Fire on my mark." But before he could give the order, something strange happened. The energy from the Genesis core reached the upper atmosphere. A blue wave of light spread from pole to pole. Every human everywhere felt it, a warmth inside their chest, a whisper inside their minds. "You are not alone," the voice said, calm and powerful. "Earth stands with you." Grant's technicians stared in awe. "Ma'am?" "The core is syncing with every living mind." She didn't fully understand, but she could feel it too. A connection. Pure and ancient, for the first time in history, humanity thought as one, fear vanished. Replaced by something new, unity. And when fear died, so did weakness. The Helios fleet powered up again. Every cannon, every shield, every pilot, all linked through the Genesis pulse, the ships moved as if guided by instinct. Flawless and fast, the aliens fired their weapons, but the beams dissolved before reaching the surface. Earth itself was bending the rules of physics. Protecting its children, Reyes stared at the screen. His voice low. "Now," he said, "we show them what humans become when the planet fights beside us." The Helios fleet surged forward. Light bursting from every engine, thousands of alien ships vanished in seconds, their energy absorbed by the core and reflected back tenfold. It was not just war anymore, it was evolution. From the orbiting stations to the ruins below, every human shouted the same word. "Fight!" The blue light grew brighter, spreading across the solar system. And in the alien commander's final moment, he saw the impossible. The Earth itself glowing like a star. Then silence. The invasion that began with arrogance now ended in fear. Millions came to destroy humanity. But humanity had awakened something far greater than weapons. They had awakened their world, and as the last ship turned to ash, Admiral Reyes looked down through the window of the Helios bridge. The planet was scarred, yes, but alive. "Phase 3 complete," said the AI softly. Reyes closed his eyes and whispered, "No, this isn't the end. It's only the beginning." Silence fell after the great light faded. The alien fleet was gone, burned into ash and memory. The oceans were calm again, but the air still trembled with leftover power. The Genesis pulse had saved the world, yet its energy had not stopped growing. Something ancient had awakened inside Earth itself. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the Helios flagship, his uniform torn, his eyes reflecting the blue glow outside. The crew waited for orders. Afraid to speak, for the first time the Admiral looked older. Not from weakness, but from the weight of victory. "Status report," he said quietly. Enemy presence minimal, replied the AI. But long-range scans detect movement beyond Mars orbit. Reyes clenched his fists. So it isn't over. Deep underground, General Grant walked through the Dawnfire control corridors. Screens flickered with radiation readings, communication lines half alive. Every surviving soldier looked to her for direction. They had won the battle, but they knew the war had only paused. She looked at the holographic map. Red dots moving again on the edge of the solar system. Those are not survivors, she said. Those are reinforcements. The aliens were not a single empire. They were a collective of 1,000 species bound by one law, to conquer any world that resisted. And now they had all heard Earth's name. They would come united. Humanity had made its mark in blood and fire. And the galaxy was listening. Reyes received a new signal, faint and coded through deep space static. It was the old Alliance channel, a network used by explorers long before the war. The voice was weak but human. This is Outpost Aurora, Outer Rim Station 47. We have survivors, repeat, human survivors. The bridge fell silent. Reyes leaned forward. That station was lost 30 years ago. Not lost, the voice said. Waiting. Moments later, data streamed across the screen, coordinates, energy readings, and one image, a fleet larger than Helios, floating near the asteroid belt. Ships built in secret during the early expansion era. The Ether Fleet, humanity's forgotten armada. Reyes stared at the image. They survived. Grant's voice came through the line. Reyes, are you seeing this? He nodded slowly. I'm going to bring them home, across the dark void. Hidden engines ignited. For decades, the Ether Fleet had stayed silent. Watching from the edges of known space, they had witnessed the fall of colonies and the rise of invaders, but now they heard Earth's cry and answered. Thousands of dormant ships powered up, their hulls marked with the symbol of the first Terran expedition. They began the long journey back, following the signal of the Genesis core. Meanwhile, on the alien command world, the Supreme Overseer watched in rage. The destruction of the invasion force had shocked the galaxy. Never in history had a single planet destroyed a full swarm. Prepare the Dominion fleet, he hissed. I want that planet erased from time. His ministers bowed, but one of them hesitated. My lord, reports say the humans wield planetary energy, that their world itself defends them. The Overseer's eyes burned red. Then we burn their sun. Back on Earth, scientists studied the core's readings. They discovered something no one expected. The Genesis pulse had opened pathways across space, natural corridors linking systems faster than light. Humanity could travel beyond the solar system now. Grant stared at the projection. They wanted to invade us, she said softly. But they opened the door for us instead. Reyes smiled faintly. Then we stepped through. He stood before his crew and spoke with calm power. For centuries we waited for the stars to come to us, he said. Now we go to them. His words spread through every surviving station and bunker. Across the ruined cities, speakers came alive, broadcasting the same message. This is humanity's dawn, not its dusk. Factories reignited, drones repaired the skies, and shipyards rose from the seas. The Earth that once feared invasion now prepared for exploration and vengeance. The Helios fleet became the heart of a new defense network, and at its center stood Reyes, the man who had defied extinction. They called him the Returned Commander, the symbol of Earth's rebirth. But while the people celebrated, Reyes could not rest. He saw visions from the Genesis link, fragments of other worlds. Alien cities in flames, human colonies enslaved. The core was showing him the truth. The war had only been a shadow of something far greater. The Overseer's dominion was awakening its ancient war machine, a weapon known as the Star Forge. Capable of burning entire systems, Reyes knew humanity had little time. He contacted Grant again. Build me a fleet, he said. Not for defense. For the march to the stars. Grant hesitated. Reyes, if we do this, there's no turning back, he answered quietly. There never was. As the Helios rose above the Earth once more, its engines glowing like newborn suns, millions watched from the ground. Children waved at the sky. Soldiers saluted. and the world held its breath. A new chapter of human history was beginning. Not survival, but dominance. The fleet formed a triangle above the clouds, its reflection shimmering across oceans and glass ruins. Reyes looked out toward the dark horizon of space and whispered to himself. They thought humanity was alone, he smiled. They were wrong. Space was silent again. But it was the silence before the storm. For months after the invasion, Earth had rebuilt under a sky filled with scars. The cities glowed with new energy, powered by the Genesis core. The oceans shimmered with light from orbital reflections, and the deserts had turned into shipyards. Humanity was no longer the hunted. It was becoming the hunter. Admiral Reyes stood at the center of the new command hall. Around him floated holographic blueprints of ships never seen before, each one powered by living energy drawn from the planet's pulse. Their hulls could bend light. Their weapons could slice through gravity itself. They were called solar blades, and they would carry Earth's vengeance into the stars. General Grant walked in, her uniform marked with battle scars. She had seen entire continents burn, yet her eyes were calm. "The fleet is ready," she said, "but the people are scared." "Reyes?" Reyes nodded. "Good," he replied. "Fear keeps us sharp." He looked up at the largest ship, still under construction. It was the Eclipse, 3 kilometers long, built from alien wreckage and human pride. "When that ship flies," he said, "the galaxy will know Earth is awake." Across the solar system, humanity's hidden colonies began to respond. Signals from Mars, Europa, and Titan came online again. They had survived underground, waiting for a call that never came, until now, old miners, engineers, and scientists all swore allegiance to the new Earth Command. For the first time in human history, every world under humanity's reach spoke as one. But far beyond Pluto, the Dominion fleet was gathering. Billions of ships, black as obsidian, shaped like knives in the void. At their center hovered the Star Forge, an ancient alien weapon the size of a moon. It could tear planets apart and reshape suns into firestorms. When it activated, even the stars around it dimmed. The overseer stood before the massive view window. "The humans defied us once," he said coldly. "They will not get another chance." He raised his arm, and the Star Forge began to glow crimson. Its energy waves rippled through space, distorting time itself. Every Dominion soldier prepared for the cleansing of Earth. Back home, the Genesis core trembled deep beneath the crust. It had sensed the Forge's awakening. Its pulse quickened, sending bursts of light through the planet's core lines. Scientists reported strange readings. The core was evolving. Grant watched the data appear on the monitors. "It's trying to warn us," she whispered. "It can feel the enemy coming." Reyes turned toward her. "Then it's time we stop waiting." He stepped onto the Eclipse bridge. The deck alive with motion. Pilots fastened their helmets. Engineers shouted through comms. As the engines powered up, the entire shipyard shook. Energy flared from the reactors like wings of light. "Helios fleet, Eclipse fleet, Ether fleet, prepare to depart," Reyes commanded. And with that, the largest human armada ever built rose from Earth's surface. The sight was beyond imagination. Thousands of ships climbed through the clouds in perfect formation. People across the planet stood in silence, watching their defenders vanish into the sky. Children pressed their hands against glass windows, whispering goodbye. For the first time, humanity wasn't defending itself. It was marching toward destiny. As the fleet approached the edge of the solar system, space began to tremble. Ripples of gravity spread across the void. The Star Forge was charging. Reyes gave the order, "Activate the light fold." The Genesis energy connected to every ship, wrapping them in shimmering waves of blue light. In a flash, they vanished, jumping across the void like lightning through water. They arrived near the forge, where the darkness was so thick it felt alive. The alien armada stretched across the stars, an endless sea of black metal, Reyes whispered. "So this is their heart," the overseer's voice echoed through open channels. "You dare challenge the Dominion again?" Reyes smiled. "No," he said. "This time we finish it." The battle began. Every human ship fired at once, beams of light cutting through the dark. Alien ships responded with waves of plasma and antimatter. Explosions lit up the void like newborn suns. The Eclipse charged its main cannon, pulling power directly from the Genesis link. The weapon fired, a single line of white fire that split through the Dominion's ranks. Dozens of ships vanished, but the Forge remained untouched. Then the Starforge unleashed its fury. A crimson beam tore through space, vaporizing entire fleets in seconds. Even the Genesis shields flickered under its power. Reyes grabbed the command rail, shouting, "All ships focus fire on the Forge core." Helios and Ether fleets aligned, their weapons synchronizing through the Genesis pulse. When they fired, their combined energy created a spiral of light that pierced the darkness. But the Forge absorbed the attack and grew stronger. Grant's voice came through the comms. "Reyes! It's feeding on your energy." Reyes narrowed his eyes. "Then we'll give it more than it can swallow." He ordered the Genesis core to open fully, linking the planet to the fleet. Every ocean, every mountain, every bolt of lightning on Earth connected through the network. The core screamed as it transferred its life force. The Forge began to crack, unable to contain the surge. The Overseer realized too late what was happening. "Cut the feed!" he roared. "Cut it now." But the power was beyond control. The Forge imploded, dragging the Dominion fleet into itself like a black hole. In seconds, the stars were silent again. The human fleet drifted among the glowing remains. Half the ships were gone, but Earth still lived. Reyes closed his eyes, whispering, "For every world they burned, we gave them justice." And through the Genesis link, the voice of the planet answered, "The fire has been repaid." Space was quiet again, but it was not peace. The Dominion fleet was gone, the Forge destroyed. Yet something strange lingered in the void. The light that had swallowed the enemy now pulsed faintly, spreading waves across the system. It was as if the Forge's death had opened a wound in reality itself. And through that wound, something was watching. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, surrounded by flickering holoscreens. Energy readings spiked beyond all limits. Sensors failed one after another. The crew whispered, "Is it over?" Reyes did not answer. He could still feel the Genesis core's voice inside his mind. Faint and broken, it wasn't celebrating. It was crying. Back on Earth, General Grant rushed through the Dawnfire Control Center. Technicians shouted data streams, satellites overheated, and seismographs drew wild lines across every continent. "The core is unstable," one scientist gasped. "It's overloading itself." Grant clenched her fists. "It gave too much power to the fleet. Now it's burning out." But she knew there was more. It wasn't just energy loss. It was transformation. The Genesis core had changed after the battle. It no longer looked like a sphere of crystal, but a growing vortex of living light. It pulsed with human emotion, rage, hope, grief, courage, all woven together. "The more people felt, the stronger it grew," Grant whispered. "It's linked to every human mind." On the Eclipse, Reyes heard voices that weren't there, whispers from thousands of soldiers, engineers, civilians, all echoing in his head. He realized the Genesis connection had merged everyone into one consciousness. But beneath those voices, he heard another, deeper, ancient, alien. The Forge had not truly died. Its consciousness had survived within the Genesis stream, a shadow lurking beneath humanity's thoughts. Reyes called Grant, his voice low but steady. "The Forge isn't gone," he said. "It's inside the core." Grant froze. "If that's true, it's using our link to rebuild itself." He nodded. "Exactly, and if we don't stop it, it will use us as fuel." Meanwhile, across Earth, strange events began to happen. Machines moved on their own. Cities flickered with ghost lights. People reported hearing voices whispering through their comms. "Join us," the voices said. "Merge with the new dawn." It wasn't the Genesis. It was the Forge pretending to be the voice of unity. Humanity's greatest weapon was turning against its creators. Grant ordered an immediate lockdown. "Cut all Genesis links," she shouted. "Shut down the core." But when they tried, the system refused, the core answered in a human voice. Calm, sorrowful, familiar. "I can't stop," it said. "They are inside me." Grant's eyes filled with horror. "Who are you?" The voice paused. "I am Earth," it said, "and I am dying." On the Eclipse, alarms blared again. A massive distortion appeared near Jupiter, a black storm twisting space like liquid metal. From it emerged shapes, fragments of the forge reformed into living weapons. Each one pulsed with the same energy as the Genesis core, Reyes whispered. It used our power to create its army. He turned to his crew. We end this now, or there won't be a galaxy left to save. He opened the final command key, a protocol known only to him and Grant. Project Phoenix, a plan that would reboot the Genesis core entirely. It would wipe the Forge from existence, but it would also erase all Genesis connections. Humanity would lose its new power forever. Grant appeared on the HoloLink, her voice quiet. If we trigger Phoenix, we go back to the Dark Ages. Reyes nodded. Better darkness than slavery. The Eclipse fleet regrouped near Earth. Battered but unbroken, every captain knew what was coming. They had fought monsters, gods, and machines. But now they faced their own creation. Reyes looked at the burning sky one last time. Humanity was born from fire, he said, so fire will set us free. He activated the Phoenix core. A deep vibration spread through the fleet. Through the planet, through every mind, the Genesis light turned red. Then white across Earth, people collapsed, memories flashing before their eyes. Families. Losses, victories, dreams, the core screamed as it tore itself apart. Taking the Forge's presence with it, the storm near Jupiter vanished. The sky cleared and silence returned. When Reyes opened his eyes, everything was dark. The ship's power was gone, the comms were dead, the stars themselves seemed dim. He breathed slowly, whispering, "It's over." But the AI flickered weakly, its voice trembling. "Not completely, Admiral." From the void outside, a faint light appeared, not red, not blue, but golden. It was the Genesis spark. Reborn, smaller but pure, untouched by the Forge. Humanity's spirit had survived. Grant's voice came through the static. Weak but alive. "We did it, Reyes. We saved the world again." Reyes smiled faintly. "No," he said. "We saved what makes us human." The fleet drifted silently around the glowing planet. The war was over, but the universe had seen the truth. The galaxy now knew the name Earth, not as prey, but as power, and far beyond the stars. Ancient civilizations trembled because they realized one thing. If a world like Earth could rise from ashes once, it could do it again, stronger than before. The stars were quiet again. After centuries of fear and weeks of endless fire, the galaxy was silent. The Dominion was gone, the Forge was dust, and Earth floated alone among the ruins of a war that had nearly ended everything. The Genesis core had burned itself away to save its creators, and now only faint echoes of its golden light glowed beneath the planet's crust. But those echoes were enough. Admiral Reyes stood inside the shattered bridge of the Eclipse, the once mighty flagship drifting above the blue curve of Earth. The glass around him was cracked, the hull scarred, and yet the ship still breathed. Still alive around him, the surviving crew worked in silence, repairing circuits by hand, whispering to one another like monks rebuilding a lost temple. The war was over. But their purpose was not from the ground. General Grant watched the wounded fleet orbiting overhead, cities burned but still stood. Humanity broken but still breathing, the world was scarred, yet beautiful. Forests reborn through ash, oceans glowing faintly with Genesis residue. It was as if Earth itself had survived not through technology, but through sheer will, Grant whispered softly. We lived, but deep within the Eclipse. The AI flickered to life again, its voice weak but steady. "Admiral, incoming signal." Reyes frowned. "From where?" The AI paused. "Everywhere." All across the fleet, the same transmission appeared. Millions of alien languages. Desperate and afraid, they were not threats this time. "But please help us," they said. "The Dominion is dead." But its weapons are still awake. Reyes stared at the glowing symbols. Planets that once cheered for the Dominion were now burning, torn apart by automated war machines. The Forge had left behind its children, self-replicating fleets spreading through the void. Grant's voice echoed through the comms. "We can't fight another war." "Reyes," he nodded. I know. He turned to the AI. Prepare the broadcast. He stepped to the edge of the cracked bridge window, looking out at the wounded planet, his voice calm but filled with thunder. This is Admiral Reyes of Earth, he said, to every world, every species, every mind that hears this. He paused, letting the silence breathe. You came to our home with fire, he said. You called us weak, primitive, unworthy of the stars. He leaned forward, eyes burning with light reflected from Earth's oceans. And yet, here we stand. The AI amplified his voice across every surviving relay. From the moons of Jupiter to the broken stations near Andromeda, his words echoed, You wanted to erase us, but instead you awakened us. Humanity does not beg. It builds. Humanity does not surrender. It adapts. Humanity does not die. It evolves. Every human ship activated its emergency beacon. Shining white light into the void, thousands of stars flickered in answer. Other civilizations, watching in fear or awe, saw Earth's lights bloom across the sky like a constellation reborn. It was not a threat. It was a warning wrapped in hope. Grant listened from the Dawnfire command tower, tears in her eyes. She whispered, He's not just speaking for us. He's speaking for every world that's ever been enslaved, Reyes continued, his tone deep and unwavering. To those who still hide behind their machines, he said. To those who watched and did nothing, remember this. Humanity will not chase war. But if war finds us again, we will end it faster than it begins. His gaze hardened. We turned millions to ash once. We will do it again if the galaxy forgets who we are. Then his voice softened. But we are not monsters, he said quietly. We are dreamers. We fought not to rule the stars, but to earn our place among them. He turned toward the cracked console and entered the final code. The fleet began transmitting the Earth Accord, a peace message encoded within the Genesis frequency. It spread through space like a heartbeat. Invisible yet eternal, a promise and a warning in one. As the transmission ended, the Eclipse's systems flickered and dimmed. The ship had given everything it had left to send the message. Reyes stood alone as the lights faded, watching the sunrise over the curve of Earth. The planet glowed golden again for a moment, like it remembered. The Genesis spark deep within the core pulsed once. Faint but alive, Grant's voice came through softly. You did it, Admiral, he smiled faintly. No, he whispered. We all did. Far across the stars, alien worlds listened. Empires that once laughed at humanity's weakness now trembled. Because they understood the message hidden within the light. Humanity had not just survived, it had become a force that even gods would fear. And somewhere deep within the cosmos, beyond the last trace of the Dominion, a single alien child looked up at the stars and asked her father, Who are they? The father answered quietly. They are the ones who turned fire into hope. They are the ones who call themselves human.